Another Wednesday, another OKKO reaction. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episodes 9 through 12 of Season 3 of OKKO Let's Be Heroes. I'm going to keep these pre-thoughts pretty short because there's not a huge amount I have to say here. I'm definitely interested to see where this continues to go, being the final season and all. And kind of the thoughts that go through my head with most shows at this point has been going through my head, and that is, should I end up taking a break here? Should I take a break like partway through the season to kind of keep that thing going and everything? To basically make sure that it doesn't overwhelm me or anything like that. But then I thought about it and I'm thinking like I don't feel like even slightly overwhelmed. It's like I've begun doing this for so many shows that it's kind of ingrained in my head to do so, or to at least think about doing so. But the issues have not come up that would make me need to do so. You know what I mean? I've usually when I take a break, it's because I'm either like getting a little tired of the show at the moment. I just need to take a break from it, get to something else instead. Or because I want to avoid that and I feel like it's starting to lean in that direction. It's usually when I just need a break. And I think part of it, and I think I've talked about this before, I think part of it comes down to my autism and my lack of attention span. Um, because it's not that I'm completely impatient or have like a absolutely terrible attention span. Honestly, there's a lot of people out there with worse than me. It's more along the lines of if I'm doing the same thing for too long and pretty much nothing but, it starts to weigh down on me and I feel like I'm not making like any progress in, I don't know, I guess watching stuff in this case. And it makes me just feel bad, basically. I don't know of a really better way to put it at this point. I don't like the feeling when I get to that point where I'm just, you know, not really enjoying as much because I want to get to other stuff as well, and that's kind of taking my attention away. So to circumvent that, like I said, I've taken breaks on shows. It's like, oh, I'll take a break on this, partway through the season, watch some other stuff, and then come back to it later. And sometimes those breaks are short, sometimes they're longer. It just kind of is up in the air in that regard. But like I said, I haven't been feeling that with this. Partially because, like, what? This is like the fourth video we're doing for this since we started this back up. Even though we're going to be like 12 episodes in, it's only the fourth video because of how many episodes we've been doing each video. But even beyond that, I just haven't reached a point where I'm even feeling like I'm getting close to possible burnout. I'm still at a point where it's like I'm still fully in this. So I'm thinking I'm probably just going to end up going through this entire season without an issue. Sort of like with Adventure Time recently. I don't think I'm going to have an issue with that. I don't think I'm at a point where I would need to take any time off. So I just kind of wanted to explain my thoughts here to let you know what was going on in my head with that. But at least from what I can say now, we're not taking a break on OKKO. There's no need to. We're just going to continue chugging along, and if at any point I do feel a little overwhelmed and do feel like I need to get to something else, I will. But I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. I really don't. With this series, at least. Other shows, maybe. But not with this series. So, that all being said, we are going to just get into this. See what this episode, or this series of episodes has in store for us. We're actually doing 4 this time. New record, basically, for this season, at least. Let's see how it goes. Let's get right to it. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all of the awesome gaming content we have on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and on Saturdays we have Poppy Playtime. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I redirect all reactions just due to copyright, you know how it is. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started on today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I like how this episode, or how this series of episodes, rather, like, were bookended by 2 episodes that were just kind of there. and the middle 2 were, like, just so exceptionally better in every way. For multiple reasons. But it's like, the 2 on the ends were not necessarily bad episodes, and there's a lot to like about them, but they're pretty, I would say they're average. I would say they're pretty average comparatively, while the ones in the middle are just like really, really, really good. And it's just, it's kind of funny to me that it just kind of worked out that way. Give me a second here to check something. Because I want to make sure I'm right about something. Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk about that in a second. Let's just do these in order. So the first one we have, like, the space vacation episode. This episode, I'm kind of mixed on because, like, I guess you could say half of it, but more like one part of it I really loved, and the other part is just kind of like, eh. The part is the stuff with Rad and Planet X, because I believe I mentioned this last time when we first had that episode. It was just very to me in the first place. Like, not outright terrible or anything, but nothing special. Nothing that really spoke to me, and nothing that was like, I really enjoyed that much. And here it's like, okay, so we're kind of wrapping that up, bringing him back in the end and everything. But one, it's not even a satisfying wrap up to that, because it's like we only see his father bid him farewell. We don't see, like, the closing interactions with his mom, his grandfather, or anyone else, and it's just like, it kind of feels like it rushes it. But at the same time, it does that because the rest of this episode focuses on something well, not completely different. It's semi-related, but it also feels like it should be its own episode. You know what I mean? Because the entire stuff with Cosma, the big battle with her in space and everything, and like really getting to see her powers in action and all, felt like it should be its own episode. Trying to tie it in with going to visit Rad and eventually bringing him back home and all, it feels like it was unnecessary and just like really unwanted almost. I feel like they could have just had it so that Rad was already back and he just went up into space with them, and maybe because there was like news of something happening up there and they went and fought Cosma. I think that would have been better. Because Cosma is one of the more interesting villains because we haven't really gotten to see her a lot. And now getting to see her in like full action with her powers and everything, it's like she's probably, like, technically speaking, the strongest of all of the villains in terms of her abilities and just, overall skill. I would even say she's more of an active threat than Venomous. Venomous is just more portrayed as such because he's more of a main villain along with Boxman, and because of the obviousness of the reveal that we'll get to. But just in general, Cosmo is definitely a bigger actual threat. Her powers are insane. Like the fact that she can grow large enough to literally eat a planet whole. That's insanity. And it's clear that if she really were trying, like, I don't think KO could actually stand a chance against her, even with the help of his friends. Maybe with the help of Carol and Gar as well. But it's like, I think pretty much everyone would actually have to step up and work together to take her out. I don't think she was truly trying. And honestly, I think she was only defeated here because of the belch thing. Because of, which was stupid, by the way. Fart humor, burp humor, just stuff like that is always stupid. And honestly, like, I get the idea. It's like the entire planet started belching at the same time. This release of gas upset her stomach and caused the issue. I get what it was going for. I don't think that could have actually defeated her. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know? I just feel like it was kind of a cheap, humorous way to beat her that logically just doesn't work. And I'm talking like within the logic of this series, too. Like, she is clearly way too strong for that to have affected her the way it did. It's just not really something I could get behind. I hope that she comes back and is able to be a bigger threat and is able to, like, require more assistance to defeat. I think that would be, like, much better at this point, because this was a very disappointing outing for her. The stuff with her could have been amazing, but with how she was defeated, it just kind of fizzled out. But let's move into the next one. The Sonic episode. Yeah, wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting Sonic. And it's not the first, like, crossover special episode they've done. I think it's, like, the third or fourth. But it's just like the Ghoul Schoolgirl episode, where it's just, I just was not expecting it. And it's just like, oh, you're just going to throw that at me all of a sudden. Also, the fact that they did get Roger Craig Smith and Colleen O'Shaughnessy to reprise their roles as Sonic and Tails, respectively, is amazing. Because it's like, these are just the voices of these characters at this point. It's who we recognize as their voices, even though Sonic has had a shit ton of voices, which I'm not, like, hating on any of them, because they're all pretty great. But I'm just saying, Roger Craig Smith is kind of like the most known voice of Sonic, so it's pretty cool. And it's funny too that this was the episode Boxman returned in, because Oh God, why is his name escaping me right now? Hold on, I should still have it up here. Jim Cummings. Jim Cummings, who voices Boxman, was Dr. Robotnik, was Eggman in at least one of the iterations of Sonic, probably a couple of them. So it's really funny that Boxman returns just to have Jim Cummings opposite of Roger Craig Smith and Colleen O'Shaughnessy again. Um, I think that's just, I think that's really fun. I think that's really fun. And on top of it, he even got to like say his iconic line at the end, everything with calling him a stupid hedgehog and all, or whatever the exact line was. It's really good. They even had the Sonic Says and the That's No Good line. It's like they referenced Cream the Rabbit, of all characters to reference. I mean, referencing Shadow, Eggman, and Knuckles, yeah, those are major Sonic characters. But Cream? Like, of all characters to reference, that's just like, and again, no hating on Cream. I like Cream. She's really nice, and I always really liked her character. But of all characters, she's like such a like minor character compared to a lot of the others. Like I would have expected Rouge before her, or even Amy. But yeah, getting to see them use like their powers and stuff, and getting to see them like specifically use the abilities from the games, even referencing how they're done and everything. It's like was just really fun, really fun. And on top of that, you had KO turn into Metal KO, which is a direct reference to Metal Sonic. It's just like if you're a Sonic fan to any degree, like even if you're a more casual Sonic fan like I am, this is still just really fucking cool. It's like it doesn't even need to be the most tightly written thing because I don't necessarily think it is. It's not poorly written or anything, but it's it's not trying to be anything special in terms of its writing or characterization. It's basically just a big reference. They're basically just saying like, you know, Sonic, let's do Sonic. Let's go all out and do Sonic. That's pretty much what this episode is. And, you know, that's all we want. That's all we would need. That's what this should be. Like, when we had the Ghoul School Girls, there was actually more lore and character and story to it. And that's fine. But sometimes all you really need is just references. All you really need is just fun. And that's what this was. It was just a really good time filled with a lot of Sonic references that I understood all of. And it was just, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. And then the next episode just continued that with excessive lore and probably the biggest, most important episode in the series yet. Because we had the big reveal, which, mind you, is not really that big of a reveal to anyone, except maybe kids who didn't figure it out by this point. Because it's like, it was so fucking obvious. It was so blatantly obvious. But the casual way that it reveals it is really fucking funny. It's like, very beginning of the episode, KO, just out of nowhere. Who's my dad? Oh, it's Laser Blast. And it's like, give me a second to breathe. I don't think I took a single breath before that was revealed. I don't think it gave me time to. It's like, Jesus, that was out of nowhere. Um, I really hope that when this first came out, they did not advertise this episode as revealing that. I hope that was legitimately a huge surprise out of nowhere for everyone to just be revealed like that. You know what it reminds me of? And this is the wildest comparison. It reminds me of season 2 of Attack on Titan. The reveal of the identities of the Armored Titan and the Colossal Titan, and the way that's revealed super casually out of nowhere, is exactly like this. It's just like, it just comes out of nowhere. It's so unexpected. It just takes you completely off guard in almost a really humorous way. Although in Attack on Titan, it's more like, the fuck did you just say? More like, excuse me? It's not as funny in Attack on Titan because of the ramifications of it. But it's still so out of nowhere that there is a smidgen of humor to it. And here, it's just fucking hilarious. And KO's like, KO gives that kind of response. Excuse me? Carol's just like, oh, I thought I told you that. We get a lot of lore in this episode, finding out like exactly why he became a villain, how it went down in the first place. We basically found out exactly what happened on that night. This event that we have been hearing about this entire series, that we have built up to and learned about bit by bit, drip fed to us. We finally find out exactly what happened. And it's not at all what we would have thought. It was literally an accident caused by an unstable experiment of laser blasts, of Venomuses. No villain attacked and caused the issue there. It was literally just him trying to hide the evidence of what he had been doing. And he had only been doing it because he felt super insecure because others around him just felt better than him in his mind. And he only like turned away and like decided to basically like pretend to be dead and fake his death and everything because of basically a misunderstanding. He heard what Carol had said back then and just kind of assumed like she was looking down on him and everything, when that's not what she was saying at all. And he didn't become a villain at first. He continued with his science stuff. He had already lost his powers at this point. And he eventually just became a villain because it paid well. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It paid well. He gained power, the power he wanted, through money, through business, and through villainy. He was a man who wanted power because he felt insecure and inadequate, and the place he found it was the wrong place, basically. After he felt almost betrayed by his friends. It's a little tragic when you think about it. But the problem is, this is basically what always happens when you have a lust for power. It destroys you. And and the saddest thing is, I don't think he fully realizes how far gone he is. Like, he knows he's a bad guy now. He knows he's gone down this path, and he doesn't exactly seem apologetic for it or anything, but like, you saw his reaction at the end there, right? When KO was like, I can't do this today, can we reschedule? He almost looked like that affected him. That's not just me, right? It looked like that affected him, and he gave the response like, oh, what we could do weekends. And it's like, I think deep down he's wanted to be a father for KO, and that's why he took on the form of shadowy figure and has been kind of trying to guide him, even though he's guiding him down the wrong path. I think that there is a side to him here that has really wanted to be a father to KO. And I think there's a side to him that misses Carol. I think he's not as evil as he kind of like puts on. I think he pretends to be more evil than he truly is. And mind you, he's really fucking good at it. We saw that last time with like the goop clone shit, which was horrifically fucked up. But it's like I feel like it was pretty obvious to me that there's more to him here. And I definitely think we're going to get that by the end of the series, by the end of this season. I think we're going to delve deeper into that, and I don't know if he'll necessarily be redeemed, but there's going to be a better understanding of things. Also, like, I think the moment Carol found out that it was him was actually a lot more devastating than the moment KO did. Because with KO, they just did the Star Wars thing. They just did the I am your father, no thing. You know, valid reference to make, entirely valid, great job, loved it. But Carol's, like, revelation, Carol finding out that was him, was actually heartbreaking. She had thought he was dead all of this time. All of these years. She had thought he was dead or at least, like, sent to another dimension or something. She had been, like, she had mourned his loss. She was devastated, even to a degree, traumatized by that event. So much so that it was this big event. It was this big thing that we kept, like, again, being drip fed throughout the series because of how important it was. To just find out that he's been alive this entire time and has become a villain, like, she handled it probably as best as she could, but I can't even imagine the emotions going through her. The fear, the pain, the anger, the sorrow. Like, the amount of therapy I would need after finding out something like that would be insane. Again, she kept it together really fucking well, but if you told me that that night she locked herself in her room and cried herself to sleep, I would not, I would not, I would believe it. 100%. I would 100% believe that. That was the most devastating, harsh part of the episode, more than anything else. And I really fucking hope we get follow up on this. Because if this series somehow ends without properly following up on this, I am going to be so disappointed. And if this series, even if this series was canceled and it's not really the fault of the creators, like Ian and them, I would still be excessively disappointed because I feel like they should, because they were allowed to finish the series. I know that. They should have made it so that they forced this in and replaced something else with it. Because this needs to be wrapped up on. It's literally the most important storyline in this series. You cannot just ignore that. I really hope this gets its proper conclusion. Do not tell me, obviously, no spoilers, but I really, really do, because it's like, of all the things with this episode, of like the surprise parts of it, the reveals that, we're revealing things we already figured out and all, of everything in this episode, that was the moment of the episode that, like, really elevated it more than anything else. Carol finding out was, like, that was tough. Like, I was so, like, in shock and just, taken aback by everything in the episode. I wasn't able to properly express it. But that hurt. Part of it's because Carol's one of my favorite characters in this show, and not just because she's sexy, but because she's, just a great character who has a lot of depth to her. But again, part of it is just because of how much this history has been drip fed to us this entire time. It's so importantly ingrained in this series that to see her reaction to that and see like how much that's like messing with her, and just imagining the emotions and everything going through her head in that moment and after. It's like Jesus. Um but let's move on to something a little lighter. Uh the last episode here dealt with just the idea of coolness versus lameness. Rad's friends are doing this thing where they look at random pictures on your phone and judge them as being cool or lame. And Rad gets super insecure when a picture he has of a cat, a kitten that he likes, is deemed by them to be lame. KO, meanwhile, gets all involved in this thing and, tries to imitate the losers, as I'm going to call them. Because he's KO. He's a young, impressionable kid, and he's just like, playing around with that. And Rad goes off, and we find out he's been volunteering at this cat shelter for years. That he's an exceptionally good volunteer with it too. That he's like really good with the cats and like really caring and loving and helpful. And that's awesome, by the way. I love that bit of development for him. We knew Rad had a soft side. That's not like a surprise. That's like just blatantly part of his character that we already knew well about. But getting to see like specifics of it and getting to see how good with it he is, it's great development. Because he is normally portrayed as like the stereotypical cool character. That's who he is. But seeing this side of him too shows that he's a three-dimensional character. That he has more to him. And I really love that this show went out of its way to do that. And not only that, but the message of this is not to judge people based on their interests. Something that seems lame to you might be the coolest thing in the world to them. And that's not only valid, but something that should be celebrated. Especially when it's not only just, harmless and everything. It's like, it's also just like inherently good. It's like volunteering at an animal shelter is just an inherently good thing. There's absolutely no way you can make that look bad. That is just insanely like positive. It really sucks that Rad couldn't adopt the cat in the end though. Teacup. I was thinking it was going to go that route, that he was going to end up doing so, but he did mention his parents are allergic and everything, and so there is that. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, he really loves the cats, and he still gets to spend time with them, still gets to help them out, and that's great. Oh, and we also had Michaela. I legitimately almost forgot about Michaela. I was so focused on the bad guys of the episode being his friends, his dumbass friends. I forgot Michaela was in there. Why was Michaela in there? Just because she's cat-like? That has to be the only reason. Because it's like that was kind of unnecessary. Michaela's just thrown in there, and it's just like, okay, just a problem child situation. And eventually, like, Rad and KO have to work together with the cats, funny enough, to defeat her and send her back to Boxmore. But it's like, alright. And all Michaela was doing was just kind of being a little bit of a menace. Like, she wasn't doing anything particularly evil. She was just being a cat. Let's be honest. Cats can be little dicks. They absolutely can. But yeah, it's just, it was a weird episode. And it had a great lesson and some great aspects to it, but like the first of these 4 episodes, it was just kind of there. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything exciting. It's not an episode I would probably be inclined to watch again. I mean, I wouldn't be necessarily opposed. Excuse me. But I wouldn't be super inclined to watch again. Unlike like the Sonic episode or the big reveal, I would watch those like crazy. Absolutely. But it's like the bookend episodes of this set were just kind of there. And mind you, I don't regret watching them. It's just they didn't do it for me as much. And I guess part of that could also just be because of how good the middle two were, that it just made the other two seem less. But again, it's just they weren't bad. They just weren't great either. They're just kind of in the middle for me. So it's not like they were like bad by comparison. Um, but yeah, I'm just obviously you'll know by this point, but I'm just curious at this point. What the hell am I going to use the thumbnail? Because I want to use Sonic, but I also want to use something from the big reveal episode too. And it's just like, what the hell? What the hell? I'm wondering if I should like if the thumbnail should keep the Sonic part secret, maybe keep that a big surprise, or if I should keep the big reveal secret, even though again that's something that is just obvious and I feel like everyone already guessed at this point. Even if I did something from the big reveal, it wouldn't be like the big reveal itself. It would be like something, probably with Carol like making a shocked expression and all. Probably something involving that. I don't know. I mean, again, by the time you're seeing this, obviously you'll know what I did, but it's just it kind of sucks that these episodes were back to back and both ended up being in the same reaction. I kind of wish like these were in separate reactions, you know. And I'm sure there's a way I could possibly get both of them onto the thumbnail. Maybe I'll like have Carol do the Carol thing for the most part, but then like sneak in a little Sonic somewhere. That could be fun. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Again, you'll know by the time you see this, but either way, this was a wild set. Um, this was an absolutely wild set. I really enjoyed it. I mean, again, the bookend ones were less so, but I still enjoyed them. And it's just like having those two in the middle was like just insanity. And again, this was airing order. I don't know what the production order for like those were. They were probably just, like split up a little more. But in the actual airing order on TV, like these were back to back. You put those two episodes back to back? Like, jeez. um, Tell me in the comments below what you thought of these episodes of OKKO Season 3. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.